Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Club Junkie podcast. It means it's Wednesday morning, and it means if you're in Metro Detroit, you probably woke up to snow on the ground. Um, yeah, it stinks, man. It's just that's part of living in Michigan. You kind of get kicked in the face every once in a while with some winter weather when you're expecting golf to start up. So Thursday's supposed to be, or tomorrow's supposed to be my first night of league. We'll see. We'll see. If the snow melts today, it's supposed to be 40. If the snow melts today and all that, it's supposed to be like 50 tomorrow. We should play. There's a chance we don't. Who knows? So it's been snowing since literally yesterday at like 3 o'clock. It started snowing at my house, and it was just kind of like wet, sleety, whatever. And by the time it was like almost dinner time, like 4:35, it was like big flakes. So just the way Michigan goes. And then my wife reminded me that last year, I think it was something like late April, beginning of May, we actually had snow. So, yeah, it just stinks, but all good. Like I said, hopefully it'll warm up by the end of the week. Hopefully my league starts on time, and then we have some fun stuff to talk about because league's always a disaster with me, it seems. But anyway, before we get going, just want to let you know this episode brought to you by Titleist Pro V1, Pro V1X golf balls. So, Pro V1, Pro V1X, pretty much that's where the bar's set, in terms of a premium tour level golf ball. If you're looking for softer feel, a little flatter ball flight, and really low spin off the driver, Pro V1 is your ball. If you're looking for something that flies maybe just a little higher, has a slightly firmer feel, and but still has pretty low spin around low spin off the driver, Pro V1X. So both have a ton of short game spin and control, extremely consistent. They've been basically redesigned this year from core to cover, so it's not just putting a new little logo on the ball and calling it that. It's been totally redesigned. So like I said, if you're looking for something a little softer feel, a little lower ball flight, Pro V1. If you're looking for something maybe just a hair firmer and a little higher ball flight, Pro V1X. I played Pro V1X for a while last year just because I was hitting the ball really flat. And then I actually transitioned back to Pro V1 near the end of the year when I started hitting it a little better. So I kind of switched between both a little bit, which is great. But yeah, Pro V1, Pro V1X. Check out Titleist.com. Check out more about them. But yeah, Pro V1, Pro V1X. It's the ball for the number one ball in golf. So check them out, the new ones for 2021. So yeah, it's another week. I actually played over the weekend. I shouldn't even admit that because it was so bad. It definitely was a round that's helping my handicap go up, which is awesome because I need that badly. But actually, I played on Thursday night, and then I played on Sunday as well. So 36 holes in a week. I mean, it's the first time I've done that since last year. Super excited about it. It was super fun. I went Thursday, played with a guy at the office. I went and played at his club at Dearborn Country Club, and then we went through and had a little there was a little skins game. There was like 3 groups, so it was pretty fun. I won a skin. I guess unfortunately there were a ton of skins won that night, but I won one of them. I chipped in just off the green on hole 2 for a birdie net eagle. Which was pretty cool, considering the first hole was kind of a disaster. I played that horribly, and then I came back on 2, hit one pretty much right down the middle. Thought I had actually hit a great wedge shot in there, and it came up just short. I was just, maybe a foot off the fringe, and, took my little Vokey SM8 pitching wedge, knocked it on there, just rolled up, broke just a hair right, and fell right in. So it was just, it was perfect. It was a good way to get that rolling. Overall, I didn't play really well. I hit some really good shots. I just didn't. I putted terribly, and I didn't get off the tee well. So those 2 things really killed me on Thursday. And then honestly, there was pretty much nothing on Sunday that went right, other than I didn't putt too badly. I thought I putted pretty well. I didn't make a ton of putts, but I wasn't hitting it 10 feet by. I was hitting it on the lines I wanted to hit it. I mean, everything was like kind of there. I just didn't score. I just didn't get in the hole. So on Thursday, I shot 88, and just like I said, I mean, I had some really good holes, and then I just had I just went on like streaks where I just make bogey and double bogey, and it was just not. I mean, just like I said, just not hitting the ball well, and especially off the tee. And if you've ever played Dearborn Country Club, or if you ever get the chance to, it's short. I mean, it's not very long, but it's very tight. And if you don't hit the fairway, you're going to be punching out, and it's just going to cost you strokes, and it just adds up and adds up and adds up. And I hit it into fairway bunkers, I hit it under trees, I just hit it everywhere but the fairway. And in the couple holes that I did hit it on the fairway, I ended up with, like I said, either birdies or pars. Like I hit it well on those holes. It's just unfortunate there were only a couple of those holes. So it was a struggle. I didn't, what did I putt with that day? I putted with the Odyssey 10 that day, I think. And just, like I said, just got nothing going. I don't know what it is. I just did, like I said, I'm not going to blame the putter, but it wasn't great. And then on Sunday, I put the Toulon Chicago back in the bag and putted with that. And like I said, I putted really well. I thought I got the stuff on the lines I wanted to get it on. I just either maybe, just hit it a little firm through the break, or just didn't hit it hard enough and things like that. So I really only hit a handful of really good shots on that day as well. And then on Sunday, I absolutely blew up and shot 96. So I took a 7-on-1. And I actually hit a decent ball. I mean, it was just like, I hit a decent ball, but I hit it left. I was in the rough, not a big deal. Totally early extension, over the top, smoked it left, hit a tree, fell down. And hole 1 at Bella Vista is like straight up a hill, the green is. And I hit a little, what I thought was actually a pretty good wedge shot, and it hit, and it was wet out in the dew. Ball came rolling all the way back down the hill, had to chip it back up. I mean, it was just like, just a disaster. So after starting that one off, it wasn't great, but I had fun. Like I said, even shooting, the funny thing, shooting 96, usually I'd get so mad and I'd get so angry, and I may even Siwoo Kim a putter or something like that, and just, break a club, get mad, smack it against them. I actually had a good time. My brother and I went out and played. It started out as a really cold day. Got pretty nice by the time we were done, and I still had fun. I didn't get mad. I just kind of plugged along and just kind of, I guess, laughed at the fact that I could hit the ball anywhere close to straight or anywhere where I needed to hit it. But it was still a good time. Had fun, so I'm not bummed about that. Handicap's up to a 9.7, which is, it's not good for your ego, but I guess it's good for if I need to play any kind of tournaments or anything like that. So, or at least it's trending up. I don't know if maybe on Monday it did. What is it, every week now? It basically resets itself, or what do they call it? It validates itself or whatever. Either way, it's like I said, not good for the psyche. Great for the actual handicap at a tournament or something like that. So if you need a partner, you need somebody to, if they have a good day, get out there and play. And they're a 10 that may be better than a 10. I'm your man. So it's not. But it was fun. Like I said, it was good. We had a good time. I'm happy to get out there. Like I said, I'm hoping to play tomorrow. Hoping league starts up. I'm not really excited for the whole league like skins thing. So like I do skins in our league, which it was handed down to me from another guy who had done it for, I couldn't tell you how long, but he basically retired from doing skins and handed it off to me. Or it wasn't even handed off. It was basically put on me because I quote unquote win all the skins, which isn't anywhere close to true, but whatever. That's what everybody thinks. So I got put on it, and I'll tell you what, the thing I don't like about running skins in my league is the fact that it's just pure distraction up until the fact that you honestly, up until you leave the tee box, it's nothing but pure distraction, because nobody has changed. Like it's $5 to get in on skins, right? It's $5 in our league. So you put in 5. Every single person has a 20. Nobody has a 5. Everybody has 20s. So everybody always comes up asking for change. And you usually have it for part of the time, but then you soon run out of 5s and singles or whatever to give people. And then at the end of the day, there's always guys who are, you didn't see, if you're in one of the first couple groups off, guys show up late, whatever. Then you got to wait till the end of the night. You got to collect the money from them. You got to do it. It's just like it's just a pure, like I said, distraction of your day. And I just don't love doing it. And then now, with more working from home, with everything still, I wouldn't call it locked down, but more working from home than I did like last year. I don't hang around with the guys, and you don't really hang around and have beers now anyway. So I don't really hang around with the guys afterwards. I kind of get home, and a lot of times my wife and I will pack up the little one, head down to my parents' place that's on a lake down in Coldwater, and we'll go down at night. That way the little one can sleep the whole ride, and we can put her right to bed, and it's just easy to do. And then work from down there on Friday, which is nice because we can both kind of hand our daughter off to my parents and let them kind of hang out with her and babysit and all that, and it just works out really well. So I don't really hang out after the thing, so it's like, I don't want to wait around and have to wait for guys to come in and pay me and all this stuff. So I don't really want to do it. So I'm probably still going to get stuck with it because I don't think anybody's going to volunteer to take it away from me. But people still want to do it. And so I'm probably just going to set it up where this year I'm going to basically take all the money, like this week, like week 1, collect all the money, who's in, who's not, get all that stuff down. And then after we put all our scores into we use this Golf League Network software, throw all the scores in there, and then we'll have it. I'll go through, see what skins are won, and then the following week you'll get paid for your skins. So you won't get your instant gratification of getting paid, but at least I think it will make my life a little easier. So it'd be interesting to hear anybody who's listening, their thoughts on that. Like I said, or if there's somebody who runs skins in their league and has like an easier way to do it or has figured something out, because like I said, for me, it's just, like I said, it's just like pure distraction every time I'm doing it. So, but anyway, it's another, like I said, week. We got some stuff. It's funny. I'm going to talk today about something that I've mentioned a bunch of times that I've used, and I've never done like an actual, what do you call it? I just not turned my TV on down here. But I've never actually like talked about it in terms of like reviewing or anything. But I know I've mentioned using it a bunch before. So the first thing I'm going to talk about today is the Rapsodo MLM personal launch monitor. And I know the personal launch monitor space is one that's extremely interesting right now. It's one of those things where it's, everybody wants a personal launch monitor. Everybody wants TrackMan type data, type accuracy, type everything, but everybody wants to pay $500, and it doesn't unfortunately work that way. But it's one of those things. So the Rapsodo MLM is their personal golf launch monitor. So if you haven't heard of them yet, I know there's a few other personal launch monitors out there. But personal launch monitors are basically launch monitors that you can buy for, a much lower price than the tens to twenties of thousands of dollars that, TrackMan and GC Quad and, some of these other, models cost. And they have scaled down versions of data. They don't all give every single piece of data that some of those bigger units get. But that's okay. I mean, there's still valuable data to be had from a lot of these units out there. And, you don't necessarily need to go to the range of the full TrackMan unit to get something out of it. And I think that's where there's a little bit of disconnect between a lot of us golfers. And trust me, I'm the same way. Like if I could afford a TrackMan unit or a GC Quad or something like that, I would definitely have one. To be 100% honest, if I had just, unlimited gobs of money like, the guys on tour do, I'd probably be one of those a-holes and be sitting on the range with a GC Quad and a TrackMan just to see what the differences are for no real reason other than that. But, but like I said, these personal launch monitors are getting really good. They're getting really, they're offering, the data that you need and scaling out some of the stuff that you probably don't need in order to still make it useful. And like I said, the Rapsodo MLM has had a lot of good reviews. It's been talked about a lot. Like I said, I've been using it on the range a lot just to, for the most part, get kind of distance numbers. I mean, that's kind of the biggest thing I use it for, is just kind of see distance and ball speed, because the biggest things that it gives, it doesn't have spin. I mean, we'll just come out right now and say it. It doesn't have spin, and it doesn't have a spin axis and things like that. Like it doesn't have any club data. It's not going to tell you if the club face was open, if it was closed, if it was anything like that. It's just not going to have that kind of stuff. But that's, like I said, that's fine, because you don't necessarily need it to, to still get some use out of it, to still find it being, a useful unit, to get some useful stuff on the range out of it. So I basically, like I said, I use it a lot of times just to go to the range. And there's two things. One, for distance, I use it for that, and two, ball speed. So are you hitting it in the center of the club face? So now the unit itself is pretty tiny. It comes in a little case that looks exactly like a laser rangefinder case. So if you have like a Bushnell or a Precision Pro or something like that, pretty much the exact same case. It's the same size. You can clip it to your bag, which is pretty much what I do. Clip it to your bag. It's right there when you go to the range. It also has an at-home like net feature, which you can hit into the net, which I've used as well, just because, especially when, when you have kids, you can't always get to the range when you want to. So sometimes I'll just set up the net in the backyard and hit a few balls into that, and it works great also. Yeah, it comes in a nice little case. It's pretty easy. It's a pretty tiny unit. So it's, easy to carry around, easy to set up. And it basically has, the stuff that it's going to give you are basically, it's going to give you club head speed. It's going to give you distance, or I'm sorry, it's going to give you ball speed, distance. It's going to give you club head speed, but it's kind of averaged out. It'll give you a smash factor number, launch angle, launch direction. The ball went, right, left. And like I said, it'll give you distance, whether it's distance or carry. You can kind of set it up for whichever one that you would like. But I set it up just for carry number. I don't really care about the distance portion of it. It doesn't matter if it tries to estimate, if it's trying to estimate the roll or whatever. I don't care about that either. Even if I had, a full blown TrackMan unit. So, but yeah, setting it up super simple. You basically you go in, and once you download the Rapsodo app, you basically fire that thing up, and you got to put an account in there or whatever. But once you you set that thing up, you get to the range, and you basically pop open the little unit itself, which is again pretty tiny. It's basically about like 3 iPhones stacked on top of each other, would be about the size of it. If you had like an iPhone 12, it would be about those, like 3 of those stacked on top of each other. So pretty thin, pretty small unit. And then you open it up, the top just kind of slides open, and you actually put your phone on the unit. So you put your phone in there, and basically your phone does all the calculations. It's basically your display. And then it also takes a video of each swing. So when you go back, you can actually look at the video of the swing you made. So if you look at like, a swing where you notice your ball speed's really high, or, something about it, and then you notice there's a swing where things aren't so good, you can kind of compare the two and look at the actual swing, because it takes a video of the swing with the camera on your phone. So you basically turn it on, you set your phone up into it, and then you set the device, I think it's like 6 or 8 feet behind you, and start hitting away. And then you can set up in the app, you can set up your bag, so you can tell it, hey, I play a driver, or I play a 3-wood, 5-wood, then whatever. But you can basically set up, your bag in there, because you set up your own little profile, and then you just can, hit balls, through it. And, it's pretty automatic. It actually uses GPS. Like when you go to your range, it'll actually have you kind of pick where you are on the range. Which the range that I go to now, and a lot of times in Royal Oak, it's kind of covered, so it's hard to exactly tell where you are sometimes. But overall, as long as you're pretty close, it's not a big deal. And then it has your direction where you hit it. But it gives you some nice stuff. It can get you kind of the side view of where all the balls land. So you can kind of look and see, drivers here, 3-wood, and you can kind of get a sense of gapping. You can get a bird's eye view look and see what dispersion's like. And then, it's also got some interesting little features where you can kind of hold the club up to the camera on your phone. And if you hold it there for a few seconds, it'll usually recognize the number on the bottom and automatically switch over to like 7-iron or 8-iron or whatever you're hitting. It doesn't work as well with raw irons. I've found that with really dark irons that have black, like I have black paint fill in the numbers. And then with a raw iron, it doesn't read it as well. With standard chrome stuff, it reads it actually, really easily. But I found with some of the raw irons, or if you have like black irons with black paint fill, it's a little harder for the camera to read. So you're probably not, you're going to have to go basically just touch the button and pick, what club you're hitting. But yeah, it's really easy to set up and really easy to use, which is nice, which is why I usually set it up on the range, because it takes no time. Now, like you see some of these guys on tour who are running around throwing down like a GC quad in the middle of the fairway. You're not really going to be able to do that, just because, at least I don't think so, because you kind of have to tell it where you are in terms of GPS. And then also, to have a directional setting and all that, it's just going to, I think, take a few too many minutes, or a little bit of time to get that set up to actually use it like on a golf hole. Like if you had if you hit your drive, I don't think you're going to pack it up, run it out there, set it back up again behind you, and then hit another ball into the green. I just don't think you're going to do that. I haven't even tried it. I'm just not going to. partly because if I'm playing golf, I've got enough distractions. I don't need to have another one. But on the range, it works really well. I think it's really good for kind of keeping track of club averages in terms of distance, height, things like that, ball speed, all those things are really good to keep track of. It is kind of nice to look at dispersion from that bird's eye view after you're done with a range session, and go back and kind of look at all the clubs you hit, kind of look at where they're at. You can kind of tell you're gapping a little bit. All those things are really simple to do. It's right there on your phone. The downside, I'll give you one downside as I'm going through it. It's only Apple devices right now. There's no Android stuff, so that is a little bit of a bummer for you Android users. But I've been an Apple guy for a long time, so it's not, it isn't a big deal for me, but I know for a lot of people that is something that, to definitely consider. But yeah, I mean, like I said, you get the distances are like I said, I set it up for just carry distances. Just have carry distances. Like I said, the ball speed is a big one I look at just to know, especially with the top end of the bag, are you hitting it close to center? Are you hitting the ball speeds that you usually hit? And to tell you, because a lot of times you can go to the range, you can hit a ball that sounds and feels really good. And, did it actually go that far? What was the ball speed on it? Is your swing, are you, swinging efficiently, all that? And like I said, ball speed's the one, carry's the one I look at the most. Ball speed's second. And then I do look at the kind of the height portion of it, while I'm actually hitting. So those things there are all super easy to use. They're right there on the app. I mean, it's like big letters and numbers. Super easy to hit a ball, look back, see what it was, and kind of go through. And like I said, the bag portion of it allows you to kind of build your bag. Unfortunately for me, I need like 100 club tags. I need like drivers 1 through 6, and 2 iron sets or whatever. But as I've talked to the people at Rapsodo, I don't think that's super high on their development list. But it's something I wish they had. But like I said, once you build your bag, you can go in there, start hitting different clubs, and it'll keep like kind of a big log of each range session, each club, how far you're hitting it. It'll keep you, averages, all that stuff. I know for a lot of people, it's going to be unfortunately eye-opening to how far you on average hit specific clubs with, like a 7-iron, where, a lot of people think, oh, I hit it 165 and that's my number. And then when you start looking at, yes, when you flush it and hit it absolutely perfect and all the stars align, you hit it 165, but realistically you hit it 158 on average, and things like that. It's really kind of eye-opening in that sense, and it does kind of humble you a little bit, because it does just give you that carry number, and there's the number, and whether you want to kind of believe it or not, that is your number. Accuracy wise and distance, I think it's pretty darn good. Again, people are always going to say, is it as good as TrackMan, whatever. Rapsodo's done some independent testing, and they've got some numbers where it's single digit percent, in terms of carry distance, it's less than 2%, or in terms of TrackMan, to them, it's less than a 2% variable. Ball speeds like less than 1%, launch angles within like 1 degree. So it is pretty accurate. I've noticed that the lower stuff in the bag, all the irons, all that is really, I think, on point. Like, it really is accurate in terms of what it gives when you're hitting, full wedge shots and short irons, things like that. I think it's pretty much right there, because especially when you miss it, you really kind of see that drop off, and then you kind of start thinking about on the course, man, I hit one last week off the toe there, and I ended up in the trap, and and you start thinking about the distances that you lose, and I think it's very accurate there. Longer in the bag, I think, with the longer clubs, the longer distances, I've noticed just maybe a slight bit more dispersion, or, variable what I think it's doing. I haven't put it next to a TrackMan, so I can't say, but for the most part, all my driver stuff is pretty darn close. I mean, it's, the ball speed wise, at the range, I think ball speed's a little lower just because the balls they have are not, the newest balls. I mean, but I think that's, that's nothing to do with MLM. I think it's just recording what those range balls are doing, because what I was hitting at the range, which just in terms of visual, I know the back of the net at the Royal Oak range is like, depending on where you are, is right around 260 yards. And a lot of my shots I was hitting were landing basically right before that, and looking on the unit, everything I was hitting was about, carry-wise 250-ish, whatever. And then I go out to the course, and, I'm definitely hitting a little farther than that. And I blend more of that of the ball than anything else, because, like I said, what I could see on the range was pretty much validated by the MLM. So those type of things are really good. Like I said, dispersion is really a cool one too. When you go through and after your session, you can basically look at the bird's eye view, and you can look at every shot you hit. You can look at just specific clubs, just specific shots. I mean, you can kind of pick a lot. You can kind of go through the data really and kind of fine tune to what you're looking for. The dispersion part's pretty cool. I mean, you can kind of hit, like what I do, because I take so many clubs out there. A lot of times I'll hit like, the first 10 balls with one club, the second 10 with another, and then you can kind of see where those shots kind of end up. And it's interesting to be able to see kind of what you're doing with a lot of these clubs. And, is it designed for fitting? No. But is it designed that you can kind of compare two clubs and get a good feel for kind of how they're working for you? Yes, definitely. I think you can definitely take a look at some of the gapping in your bag and see where where things are maybe coming together and where things are maybe spaced out too far. I did that actually after I redid my ZX7s, and I had them stripped and I rebuilt them and all that. I realized that I never actually checked the loft and lies after they got stripped and all that. And I noticed on the course, I thought that what was it, 8 iron was coming up short, but 7 iron was, and 7-6, all that, we're all flying normal, but like that 8 iron seemed to go short, as is the 9 iron. Then my pitching wedge was kind of getting close to my 9 iron. There was just like a little bunch there. And after I threw them on the my loft and line machine, noticed that 8 iron was a little weak. The 9 iron was a touch weak, and then everything else was fine. So those two clubs, like I said, on the course, I kind of noticed it. I definitely noticed it then with the MLM, that there was just kind of a little bit more of a gap there, and was able to kind of bend those clubs. And I didn't hit them very well this weekend, so I can't really 100% tell you that it's 100% fixed, but but definitely there's some stuff there. So with this thing, I think there's a lot to use for it. I think there's a lot of good uses for it. You can definitely, yes, you're not going to get the spin numbers and all that, but I don't think for what it's made for, you're not going out to fit yourself. You're not going to go out and compare shafts and try to figure out 500 RPMs of spin difference. I think it's a great thing to just use to kind of keep track of your practice and see where you're at, and if you kind of notice some trends and things like that it can help you diagnose those things. And I think using it more as a tool for that is really good. Like I said, you can use it at home in a net. I've been doing that too. I think accuracy wise, it's pretty darn close. I think it loses maybe a hair with the net compared to outdoors, but nothing crazy, and you still get some of the dispersion stuff, which is pretty cool. I didn't expect to get a lot of that. You don't get the shot tracer that you get on the outdoor stuff. So in your video, you have like a little shot tracer, and it's actually pretty accurate in terms of where the ball goes. Every once in a while, it'll throw a funky one in there, but then again, every time, every once in a while you'll be hitting a TrackMan, and every once in a while you'll have one that all of a sudden gives you 9,000 RPM of spin with the driver. So all these things that there's always going to be those variable shots that are in there, and you can always delete them as well. But the indoor stuff, indoor/net, works really well. Like I said, if you can't go to the range, I'll do that, and I'll put it down there. And then I really just look at ball speed. Am I hitting the center of the club? Like, that's my main focus, is looking at the ball speed number on each shot. And that's going to tell me, am I hitting it flush? Am I hitting it center? And launch too a little bit, that launch angle of where it's going. So I don't focus as much on the carry number when I'm hitting into the net as I do, trying to hit the center of the club, and trying to make sure I'm hitting it high enough. But overall, I think it's a really good tool to kind of help with your practice and help keep you on track and help keep things dialed in. If you're looking for a true fitting tool, that's what this isn't what this is designed for. It does have some cool stuff that they're bringing out that I haven't messed with. They're doing this Coach Connect, which if you have a coach that uses the Rapsodo software, it'll basically link up to them, and they can see all your practice sessions and all that, and basically do kind of a little more remote coaching, which looks pretty cool. I haven't messed with it. They've got some long drive games, I think it's closer to the pin games. Like, there's some cool different stuff in there that I haven't even messed with yet. But the Coach Connect thing's kind of interesting, where you could have, your coach kind of follow along with all your numbers and kind of, help you out through that, instead of just, sending you a video of, hey, try this. They can actually look and see, oh, well, you're not hitting it high enough, you're not whatever, and basically directly linking it to them, which is pretty cool. So, like I said, that stuff I haven't messed with, but for me, like I said, on the range, it's great just kind of comparing drivers a little bit in terms of launch, distance, is great. And then, like I said, just kind of keeping track of, are you hitting it well? Is your ball speed up? And are you hitting it straight? Look at your dispersion. Are you hitting it straight? Is the gapping looking correct? All that. Like those things are just really nice to keep track of. And you don't even have to really think about doing it. You just set the unit up, start going, and you're done. And the other nice thing is it does use your phone. So you're kind of like, oh man, my phone's not there. You can still listen to music while it tracks all your shots and does all the stuff. Because that was the one thing I was kind of worried about, because I like listening to music, have a little playlist going while I'm hitting balls. And you can still do that with this thing running, which is pretty nice. So yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's a really good unit. Like I said, for the money, I think it's probably one of the better options out there that you can get for $500. I know every once in a while they have some sales on it too. I think just a few weeks ago it was like $75 off or something like that. So if you keep an eye out for it, you can probably get it even cheaper than that. But yeah, the Rapsodo MLM is just a really solid unit to keep track of your game, keep track of your equipment, and make sure everything's kind of on track as you go through the summer. And like I said, it's easy to use. It's simple. It's got a ton of features, and like I said, so far I've been pretty happy with it. And like I said, I'll continue to use it throughout the summer and throughout my time at the range. So if you go to rapsodo.com, you click on golf. It's got all the information there about it. You can either check out, they've got like the document they had where they have an independent tester put it against TrackMan. So it's pretty cool. They've got all that data for you to look at. And yeah, so if you're looking for something, you want kind of a personal launch monitor, definitely check out the MLM. I think it's one of the better options out there for you, especially at this price point. So anyway, it was fun to use it. And then we're going to talk a little bit about some other options, some stuff I've been hitting over the past few weeks. Nothing's kind of crazy new or anything, but just some two things I've been hitting and really kind of been impressed with lately. And we'll talk about those. But before I do, the Fujikura Vista Pro. I know I've talked about it before. The Vista Pro is Fujikura's line that's kind of built specifically for club fitters, and it's built to fit a wide range of golfers. And I've got the driver shaft behind me. I definitely have a hybrid and iron shaft above me somewhere. But the Vista Pro series is really, it's really a good shaft. And I think people look at it and they're going to look at the price point and say, it's not that good. It's not a Ventus or whatever. You're doing yourself a disservice if you haven't hit the Vista Pro. The Vista Pro is, it's a full range shaft. The wood is a flighted line, so the lighter stuff's going to launch a little higher, have a little more spin. As you get to the heavier, stiffer flexes, they're going to launch lower, have less spin. The woods are basically go from 40 to 75 grams. So, I mean, there's something in there for everybody. I played the 65X, legit stout. It plays as an X. It's super solid. It's very consistent. And you think this is just like a cheap whatever shaft just that fitters can use, you're dead wrong. They've taken a ton of learnings from Velo Core. They've built a brand new bias core into it that is super consistent, super tight. The 65X is true, like kind of mid to slight mid-high launch, pretty boring ball flight. I would say it's fairly probably mid-spin, if not mid-low. It's very accurate. The iron shafts as well, super consistent, super accurate, have a good solid feel to them, really soft, reduce a ton of vibration. So, if you have wrist, elbow, shoulder, back pain, or whatever, they take away a ton of that vibration, but you don't have to worry about them being, wet noodles or anything like that. They're definitely, they play true to flex. And then they make a hybrid shaft also that was actually way more stout than I thought. I put it in my Maverick Pro from last year and hit that thing and was shocked that it actually did kind of almost lower that ball flight just a touch. And again, really good solid feel to it, really accurate. I was kind of blown away by how well these things played. So, check out the Vista Pro series from Fujikura. It's brand new out, just came out beginning of the year. But I know it's designed for fitters, but it's designed for everybody. It's got, like I said, weight and flexes for, any golfer out there. And this stuff is really high quality, really solid. So check it out. Go to fujikuragolf.com. Check out the Vista Pro series. I know I've been chatting with some people in DMs, and some guy was looking for a kind of a mid-launch shaft. Heard me talk about Vista Pro. I was like, yeah, I think it would be 75 gram would be a perfect fairway wood shaft. He put it in his fairway. Said he's been loving it, just killing it. So, like I said, it's for the price, for the bang for the buck. It's phenomenal. So like I said, check out fujikuragolf.com. check out the Vista Pro series of iron shafts, wood shafts, and hybrid shafts, because they're really, really, really good. So, so now I've played a little bit. You guys have heard I've got 2 rounds in this week. So that means I got to hit some clubs. The downside is, one of my rounds I could only carry 14. When you're playing a skins game, they don't let you bring 16, 17 clubs. So it was unfortunate. I got stuck with only playing 14 clubs, but it's cool. It was all right. I made it through. But the one thing that I've actually been playing, I played both rounds with, was the Srixon XV, which I know I talked about a little bit, probably like, I don't know, a month ago. I talked about it a few weeks ago, but the XV, I played, and realistically, I wanted to play it because, one, I typically don't use the XV. I don't really love the firmer feel of it, and I felt like it never really spun enough with kind of the mid irons for me. Like short irons, wedges, I can get it to spin, you can get it to stop, but if you're hitting like a 6 or 7 iron into a green, I always felt like there was a little more release there, and it was just one of those things where I felt the Z-Star, I liked the feel of it better. I felt I had a little more spin with those, with the middle to top end of the bag, and I just always went with the Z-Star. So the XV, I have a couple dozen of them, and I said, you know what, it's early in the year. Let's go play those. One, I'll see how they play, and 2, it's early in the year. If I play really bad and I lose a few, I don't really care. But I went out and played I've been playing the XV, so I played it Thursday and Sunday, and I do have to say, the one thing about the ball that I was really impressed with, it is definitely softer than the previous version. I feel like off the putter, off the wedges, it's not as firm. It doesn't have as much of a kind of click to it. It's definitely more muted. There's something about that thing that just has a little softer feel to it. It's got a little better sound. But I really did like the feel of it. And like I said, putting and chipping were the 2 things that with XV, same thing with like TP5X, and even, Pro V1X a little bit. I just didn't love the feel and stuff as much with those balls because they're so much firmer. This, I think, for this year, the 2021 model, to me, a little softer, a little more solid feeling. It's definitely firm, but it doesn't have that like audible like click to it when it leaves the putter. So I really liked that about it right out of the gate. Ball flight wise, I thought it flew really well. It's definitely mid high, but it's not crazy low. For me, it's still something that, I can get the ball up in the air. I still don't have to worry about it. Is it going to come in too shallow? Is the angle of descent going to be too shallow? Is the ball going to hit, release again? And I found I had a little more, of that control with, with the mid and long, or those kind of mid irons, the ball did stop. And I don't know if it's because more a little more height, a little more spin, combination of the 2. But both those I felt like they had a little better distance control at that end of the bag with the XV than I did with the previous generations with it. The distance wise with this, it's really long. It definitely has low spin. The off the driver, all that. I mean, you never had anything balloon, never had anything rise, even with the 3 wood off the deck, because I kind of hit down on a little bit. Ball just kind of goes up, it stays pretty penetrating, and it comes down, and it goes a long way. But overall, I think it's a really, really good ball. The spin around the green is really solid. I mean, for me, I don't generate a ton of ball. I'm not a super big hitter or whatever. So, the shots with like, a 60 that you kind of have to open the face a little bit, hit it over a bunker, get it to stop short-sided. I find there's a little more release there with this ball as opposed to the Z-Star. But the long game side of it, with it being really low spin and kind of a, like I said, a little more controllable ball for super high ball hitters or super high spin players. I think it's definitely a great option. Like I said, the putting portion of it is really good. The chipping part of it's so much better. And like I said, for me, those middle irons are much easier to control. Control the distance too. So I've really enjoyed playing the XV. I've kind of felt bad that I'm now, my reason for bringing it out was if I lose them, I don't care. Because it is a really good ball, and I think it's much more playable than the previous one. I think if you were that person who just needed the craziest low spin, and you needed that. Or you needed that little bit of height on your shots, whatever. I think that stuff's still there. I think the really hardcore guy who wants to go super low spin or whatever, the XV may be, a little higher spin than it used to be. but I think overall it's a much more playable ball for more players, and I think those players are going to enjoy using it more. I actually really do. I really like it. I think overall I'm going to like Z-Star better when I get that out more, just because I always do. But the XV is really good. I think it's much improved over last year, at least for me, and for players who are kind of on that fringe between playing, the low spin ball and the higher spin ball. I think this one here kind of blends that gap a little more, and is going to allow more players to play this and really enjoy it. So overall, I think the XV is a really good ball. I think it's, like I said, for most players, it's going to play probably better, and they're going to enjoy it more. Maybe the most hardcore, biggest club head speed guys, they may not love it as much. But I think, like I said, the majority of the other players are really good. The distance-wise, it's been fantastic, especially off the tee. I've been really impressed with how far it's gone, especially this early in the year when it's still kind of cool. The fairways aren't super firm and fast yet. I mean, they never get crazy firm and fast here, but they're not wildly firm and fast yet or anything like that. And the distance-wise, it's still been really good. The ball goes pretty darn straight, except when you put really horrible swings on it, which I've been able to do. But again, that's not the ball's fault. But hitting it into the green, and like I said, it stops well. It's got a ton of control. And, like I said, for me, the only thing I have to consciously play with on this ball is that it will release a little more on those, 30-yard shots or, that 25-yard shot over a bunker to get it to stop. Those will release a little more, but nothing crazy. It's still a tour ball. It still has a ton of spin, so it's still going to, you're still going to be able to stop it. And it's consistent. I mean, when you hit it, it's going to release a little bit. I know exactly how far it's going to go, and you just hit the shot. So the XV's been really good, and I'm really impressed with it. I like it better than, the 2020 and the 2019 versions, which I kind of shied away from immediately. This one I actually really do like, and I found that I played pretty well with it. So if you're somebody who's, kind of shied away from the XV, but you like a little bit about what it's about, try the 2021 version. I think you're really going to like it, especially the feel. I think it's been, much improved. It's a little bit softer, and it has, less of an audible click to it than especially the 19 and the 20s. So give the XV a little try there. And then the 3-wood I've been kind of really actually raving about, or not raving, but playing really well with lately, is SIM2 Max. And I've actually put the SIM2 Max with a Ventus Red. Now, this is a Ventus Red prototype, so it looks like a Ventus Blue. But it's a Ventus Red 7X. And I do have to say, I've so far been really impressed playing with this thing. I know a lot of you, I was, mentioned, I was probably going to try to make this, G425 Max work and all that. So far, I found that, the SIM2 Max has been really good. I've hit it really well. It's easy to elevate, easy to get up in the air. It's pretty darn forgiving. The ball speed seems pretty high. The sound and feel of it's really good. I like the shape. I know a few people have DM'd me and stuff and kind of complained that they found a lot of them are shut. Mine's pretty square. I do have to say, I don't know if I was lucky that this is what they sent in, that it's pretty square, but it's a pretty square face angle. But overall, I just really like the club. It's easy to hit off the turf. I have no qualms about, hitting off the turf and elevating it and getting into the air. Zero problems there. It actually, compared to say like Maverick or even my old faithful XR16, definitely launches a little higher than that. Distance-wise, it may be just a hair behind because it does launch so high, but I think, I'm okay with that. I think launching it high, and if I'm going to hit it into, some par fives and things like that, I'm going to have more distance control with it. The Ventus Red in here is, like I said, I've been a big fan of Ventus Red in a fairway wood for a while now. I think it's just a great fairway wood, especially for somebody who plays like Ventus Blue. It's easy to get the ball up in the air, but it's, like a lot of shafts that are, let's call them higher launching, even though I consider this kind of mid-high. It's super tight. It's super consistent. It's got a really stiff handle section. So for my quick swing, I've got a lot of control with it. It's probably the best feeling Ventus out of the three. And just overall, I think it's just a phenomenal fairway wood shaft that I think gets overlooked a lot because of the success of blue and black. But this thing here has been really good. I mean, hit it off the tee. The face is deep enough to hit it off the tee. Like I said, easy to elevate to get it up in the air, to hit it off the turf. It's just, I think, a jack of all trades 3-wood that I've really enjoyed hitting so far. I've got to slap a little lead tape on it or hot melt it because of my swing weight. The swing weight is a little low on it at the moment. It's a little light. I haven't measured it yet because I do play my 3-wood short. But I noticed the other day when I was hitting it off the deck, that it feels a little light. So we definitely need to get the weight back up just a little bit. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm still going to try other stuff. Still going to, throw some other clubs in the bag, but this year has done really well, and I'm starting to get a lot of confidence in it, which is nice. Because 3-woods, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for something that you're going to be able to hit, that every time you, tee the thing up, you're going to hit it well, and you're going to hit it consistently well. And, that's what so far I have been able to do. Like I said, the ball flight is a little higher, so on windy days, you're not, for me at least, you're not going to not be able to knock it down and play it truly under the wind like some other 3-woods. Like I said, I played Maverick Sub-Zero last year. That definitely had a lower ball flight than this, but overall, I think this is going to be more playable. It's definitely more forgiving, especially, hitting a low heel. It tends to get the ball up in the air a little bit higher, carries a little farther. I can get away with that shot a little better than I could with Sub-Zero from last year. So that's the big takeaway there. Like I said, dead center struck shots, it goes pretty good. Maverick Sub-Zero may have it by a hair just because it had a flatter launch. But again, I think distance control with this thing is going to be, definitely more controllable, definitely more easier to get used to, and I don't think it's going to hurt my gaps in any way. So that thing there has been really good. I've been hitting that well. Like I said, I'll really get a feel for this, if we play tomorrow or the next coming weeks in my league, because I hit so many 3-woods off the tee. But so far, been really solid. So been a fan of the SIM2 Max. It's been really good. And then the thing I'm going to start ending every show with every week, because I know most of you probably don't care, but some of you do. I'm a big watch fan, and if you're not, I totally understand, and you can turn it off now. But if you don't know, like on the golf site, on the Golf WRX website, I actually write there's an article each week that is basically what's on the wrist, WOTW. That I basically write an article about what the winner of each tournament was wearing, on their wrist when they won. So this week, Stuart Sink, as usual, wasn't wearing crap on his wrist because he just doesn't. He hasn't worn a watch ever. I went searching through Getty Images in like 2014. He was at like a St. Jude Children's Hospital thing where he was in the actual hospital showing, like, teaching kids how to putt and stuff like that. And he was wearing what looked like a Date Just or something like that, a Rolex Date Just with a blue face, but there was no real good images of it. So all he was wearing was like a Whoop strap. So this week was Lydia Ko, man. So every week I think I might end it with just like, a couple minutes on whatever watch the winner was wearing. And like I said, if you don't care, hey, I understand totally. You can turn it off now. But Lydia Ko back finally wins. It's been like 1,300 days, much like Jordan Spieth for her. I guess it's so weird thinking that she hasn't won in forever because she was so dominant at like 16 on the LPGA Tour. But she won the Lot Championship over the weekend and was rocking basically a Rolex Yachtmaster 40 in rose gold with the Oyster Flex strap on it, which has been a super popular watch. Ricky's been wearing a ton of that watch. Phil wears that watch in play all the time. I think it was Daniel Berger I've seen wearing that watch. There's been like a handful of people really wearing this Yachtmaster 40, either in the white gold or this rose gold. I think Ricky and Phil have been wearing the rose gold. Lydia's wearing the rose gold, or as Rolex calls it, Ever Rose Gold. The Oyster Flex stuff is becoming huge, which is like, I said, this rubber strap that has actually titanium blades, as they call them, so pieces of titanium in the band, and basically the rubber is molded around that, and it basically gives it a bunch of durability, so it's not going to fall apart as easily. It's going to fit a little better, and then it comes together with the traditional Rolex Oyster lock safety clasp that you'd see on an Oyster bracelet. The Yachtmaster there. Super cool watch. I think it's pretty sweet. It's 40 millimeters, so it's super easy to wear, and you're seeing a lot of women now wear like the 36s, 38s, and 40 millimeter watches. It's just bigger watches for women are in. So, it's not shocking to see her wear something like this. But Ever Rose Gold, it's like an 18 karat gold. Rolex actually controls like their own, rose gold, but every company kind of does. Like if you look at like Audemars Piguet, if you look at Rolex, if you look at Omega, everybody's kind of pink gold, rose gold, whatever they want to call it, is their own kind of hue. Me personally, I think AP does kind of, I like their color the best, but Rolex is pretty good. But they have their own foundry that they kind of keep control of these things, and they make sure that it's corrosion resistant, that it's not going to tarnish or I guess gold doesn't tarnish, but it's not going to change color or anything like that if if it's in the salt water all the time, all that. I mean, it's a Yachtmaster, so the big thing about the Yachtmaster is that chunky bezel. It's got a really thick bezel that has graduated numbers in it, and they're actually kind of exposed. They kind of sit up on the bezel, where something like a GMT or anything like that, a GMT or a Submariner, everything's smooth, or the numbers are basically etched into it. This is kind of reverse, and it's kind of a matte black with like all the top of the numbers and the graduations, everything are polished. So that's made out of black ceramic, so it's super scratch resistant, super lightweight, and it's just a really kind of a cool setup. I'm really liking the Oyster Flex stuff that Rolex is doing right now. They're doing it in the Daytonas. They're doing it now actually in the Sky Dwellers. They've done it now in the Yachtmaster. Kind of just a cool look that it adds to any of these sport watches. But yeah, her Yachtmaster there. They're hard to get, right? I mean, retail, I think $27,300 on it. I don't think you can get them for that right now. Rose gold Rolexes are super popular, so I'm pretty sure that those trade for over retail right now. But yeah, just a really cool watch. I'm pretty excited that she was wearing something cool. And the black on rose gold, I think is just a sweet combination. So I've always been a fan of the Yachtmaster. I really like JT. JT has been wearing, or has been seen wearing, a 40 millimeter rhodium dial. So it's got a gray dial. It's got basically, I think it's got like platinum in it, but gray dial, oyster band, and it's got kind of almost like a Tiffany or light blue second hand that goes around it, and it's just a cool look. But I've always been a fan of the Yachtmaster. I like that chunky bezel without the watch being astronomically huge. But yeah, Lydia Ko rocking a Yachtmaster 40, brand new Yachtmaster 40 with the Oyster Flex rubber strap on it. So the reference 126655 is what it is. I'm going to assume it's the newest one. There was one previous, I believe, to that, but yeah, just a really cool watch. Super excited to see that. And like I said, I think I'm going to end each show with just a little talk about what's on that person's wrist, because I'm just into it. So anyway, it's all I've got this week. Hopefully you guys have a good week. Hopefully you can play some golf. Hopefully I get to play some golf. If you want to hit me up with any questions, any suggestions with things I should be testing, anything like that, hit me up on Instagram at ClubJunkiePod. Or shoot me a DM if you just had a question or whatever. And then look for Wednesday nights. I do my usual Q&A on there, so you can jump in, ask any questions, anything like that. But again, hopefully everybody has a good week. Play some golf. Hopefully you play well. And we'll talk to you guys next week.